Welcome to Sniffy Ash. I'm super excited to have you here. Let's get sniffy. Today we've got something extra special. Imaginary Authors is a little niche brand out of Portland, Oregon, founded by Josh Meyer and creative director Ashad Simonian, two absolute geniuses of the perfume arts, who weave notes and accords like characters set in a novel. Even the packaging itself reflects that, like this super clever little book design that houses the bottle itself. It even comes with a little sample there. Each fragrance has its own built-in narrative, an imaginary vignette ranging from whimsical and dreamlike to something a bit darker and slightly tragic. But within each bottle is a combination of unique and unexpected scent notes that each take turns being the main character. And I found that these accords can sometimes take on an entire life of their own. Yesterday Haze is a story of a crop duster and a farmer's wife who've been involved in a decades-long secret love affair. But the backdrop of this very complicated dynamic is set with these beautiful photorealistic accords that completely juxtapose the scandal that's taking place around them. Here's the notes. This, to my nose, is an instant love. It actually takes me back to being 8 years old and like the pure joy that filled me climbing my favorite tree at my next door neighbor's house. In my mind, that tree was so tall, we just felt like we were on top of the world. But I later revisited that tree as an adult, and it wasn't so tall after all. It just felt that way. But with this, you really do get that realistic tree bark accord that's so different from tons of other woods we typically smell. It's not like a sandalwood or a pine. This is just like the bark of that tree I loved climbing. And after some time has passed, the dry down actually reminds me of this fig tree that grew in the backyard of my own childhood home. Sadly, it fell over in a really bad storm once, but enough of its roots stayed connected to the ground that even in its seemingly broken state, it continued to give the most beautiful, perfectly ripened fruit for decades. Perhaps this scent story is less about betrayal and more about resilience, a daring spirit that lives on against all the odds. As far as longevity goes, on skin, I got between 4 to 6 hours, but I could still smell this on my leather jacket the next day, and it smelled amazing. So what would Yesterday Haze sound like if it were actual music? My husband Chris helped me write this little song that feels bittersweet. We wanted to capture the mood of a forbidden love scene. You hear a plane taking off and it just drifts into something reminiscent of a slow dance, shared equally by the bass, keyboards, and guitar, like imaginary characters in this little love triangle. We wanted it to feel like a dream you're trying to remember the details of, with these little passing chords that tug at your heartstrings, and the final chord that feels mysterious, like what happens in the next chapter. Contrary to the name, and at the risk of sounding totally cheesy, there is absolutely nothing hazy about how much I love this scent. I even brought this bottle to one of my performances and road tested it on 6 different audience members. It showcased various notes on each person. More figgy on one person, a bit more like powdery iris on the next person, woodsy on one person, more decadent on the next. Because there is this lactonic vanilla tucked into the blend, and I just love that it really does reflect you. And that's the truest testimony of any fragrance. It's unisex in the best way imaginable. Yesterday Haze is like the love language of a fig tree bottled. I'm absolutely enamored. So is my husband. Thanks for joining me. Sniff you later. I just remembered I haven't tuned this bass in like a month.
I haven't tuned my guitar for ages.
At least they'll be out of tune together. Awesome.